I'm sorry we're doing this video. I wish we were doing this video under better circumstances, but I'm telling you right now, this is a disaster. Kristaps Porzingis being traded to the Golden State Warriors. It's not working out. Who could have guessed that? We're going to break down the latest on KP on today's show, and then we'll talk about some great news for Golden State as they may have found a diamond in the rough. But make it known for me on today's show, if you think the Warriors are run by absolute clowns, go hit the like button. I just want to get a pulse. I want to see what Dub Nation is feeling right now. If you think the Warriors are run by clowns, if you think that it's been an absolute disaster class from this front office this season, last season, really over the last half decade, hit the like button right now. I want to see something. And to preface, I do not want to talk about Jonathan Kuminga today. I get it. We've done it over the past few videos because he is balled out for the Atlanta Hawks. But really, the majority of those buckets have been in transition against the G League Wizards and the G League Trailblazers. Not really something that we can point to and say, Jonathan Kuminga is going to be a future star. Pump the brakes on that. He's played no comp whatsoever, and a lot of those buckets have come easy. This situation specifically is more about trading an asset, whether or not you think Jonathan Kuminga was an asset or not. He was, for a broken player. For a player who doesn't play. For a player who can't stay on the basketball court. The skill level of Kristaps Porzingis, nobody can deny. But the injury history, and now the illness history for Kristaps Porzingis, it's gotten to a breaking point for me. And look, if you wanted to trade Jonathan Kuminga away in a salary dump to the Eastern Conference, then why didn't you just do it for Nikola Vucevic? I get it. Kristaps Porzingis is a better player at his peak. He can raise the ceiling of this Golden State Warriors team higher. But this Warriors team needs its floor raised a little bit. You lose Jimmy Butler. Steph's been banged up. Draymond sucks. The floor needs to be a little bit higher on this roster, and Kristaps Porzingis doesn't play basketball anymore. So you're not going to see much of a floor being raised there. After 17 out of 53 possible games that he played in Atlanta, he's now played in just one of his 9 games available as a Golden State Warrior. This is an issue, guys. I mean, there's no really way to split it. This is absolutely a concern. Now, Kristaps Porzingis, according to Anthony Slater, just before we recorded this video, said that Kristaps Porzingis is making the trip on this Warriors road trip over the next couple of games. That's an encouraging sign, but at the end of the day, there's no update on his actual playing status for those games, so we'll see if he ends up suiting up. Remember, we'll talk about that in a moment, but the Warriors just did not assess the situation correctly whatsoever. They could have got something else. They could have got a player who would at least suit up for the damn team, but they didn't. And it's just like, why are we playing this game of cat and mouse with Kristaps Porzingis? This is absolutely ridiculous, and it's embarrassing that a Steph Curry-led team has to deal with something like this. Porzingis goes from too sick to play after the Celtics game and leading up to the last weekend. Then he ends up fully practicing on Friday, the day before the Laker game on Saturday. Not too sick to play on that day. This all happens in the span of a week. This mystery illness that he's got going on, it's POTS, by the way. It hits him in waves, and sometimes he feels better, and then 2 days later, he'll be bedridden and sick as a dog again. I feel bad for Kristaps Porzingis. I want to see the humanity in this. But we don't deserve to be getting jerked around like this whatsoever. And it feels even more embarrassing and honestly disrespectful to Warriors fans when you hear the front office and the leadership of this organization talk about the situation. Here's what Steve Kerr said on it. It's a little mysterious. Obviously, we're working with him and hoping he can get some clarity and he can break through to get to a point where he's consistently healthy. A little mysterious. So you're telling me right now that you traded for a guy that you don't have a goddamn pulse on. What are we doing? This is a $10 billion franchise. What are you doing? The Celtics knew it was detrimental. The Celtics didn't care if it was mysterious. They shipped him out because they know that he was not going to be able to not only be on the court at all, but live up to the contract that he got, $30 million a season. And guess what? The Hawks likely did too. Whatever research and investigation you did with Atlanta, they played your ass. They knew damn well that Porzingis couldn't play, and the games played dictated that. All you had to look at was that Porzingis couldn't get on the damn floor. And you still traded for him. You still thought that that would give you a shot this season. Embarrassing. Mike Dunleavy's been getting grilled about it as well. He was asked if he's satisfied with the information gathering process that led up to the trade with Atlanta. And here's what he said. That's a great question. It's a fair question. I think it's really, really complicated. This is a unique situation. I'd say from our end, I feel good from the information that we had, I feel good about our evaluation of what that was on the medical side. And for that reason, that's why we made the trade. Well, Mike Dunleavy, if you feel good about your evaluation for the medical side, I want new evaluators of the medical side. How could you look at Porzingis and say, yeah, he's totally going to be ready to go. You know, he's missed 35 fucking games this year, but you know what? Why not? Well, he's just going to magically be healthy all of a sudden. We have the magic serum for Porzingis. Sorry I dropped an F-bomb, but this shit, it actually pisses me off, man. And like, it really all stems from this. Like, in times like this, I just feel for Wardell. Blood, sweat, and tears. Turning this organization into something that costed less than $1 billion to an 8-figure organization. He's the only sole reason for that. And this is how his roster gets treated. Like, this is how he gets treated in terms of surrounding him with talent. I know they brought in Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler's on the shelf now. They've had Jonathan Kuminga available to trade away for the last 2 years. And they ended up waiting until the literal last possible moment, and they got nothing for it. They actually got a negative asset back for it. Embarrassing. They passed up on Lauri Markkanen. They passed up on Siakam. They passed up on Caruso. They passed up on Paul George. That situation's a little bit different. But again, they could have had all these cats. They decided to ride with Kuminga and then trade him for a guy who's chronically ill. The only benefit here is Porzingis' $30 million is coming off the books. But guess what, folks? If you traded for Vucevic, that money would be coming off the books too. If you just let it ride out with Kuminga the rest of the season, you could have declined the team option and you would have been done with him there as well. That money was coming off the books no matter what. And this is where we are at this point. So like now you have to look ahead and you're like, what do we do in the offseason? What do we have to work with? Yeah, that money comes off the books. The Warriors are still an apron team. That $30 million doesn't really do all that much for Golden State. It's not like it opens up a $30 million contract slot for them to go offer a free agent this offseason. No. You have like the non-taxpayer mid-level, and then like biannual exception, vet mins, first-round draft pick. Jesus, if that's what you think is going to be able to surround Steph and this group with enough talent, then you got another thing coming, and you should be seeking other work. Next up, we're going to switch up the tone a little bit on today's show because that was doom and gloom for the first 7 minutes. We got some good news. We have a diamond in the rough that Golden State may have found over the weekend. We'll tell you about him in just a moment. First, though, I got to tell you guys about our sponsor on today's program, as this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Shoot your shot on Prize Picks and get $50 in lineups instantly after you play your first $5. That's right. Prize Picks is now giving you $50 in lineups when you sign up and play your first $5. Prize Picks makes every dunk, every dime, and every board that much more exciting. So don't miss the chance to get started on America's #1 app for sports picks over at Prize Picks, where all you guys got to do is pick a lineup of 2 to 6 players and just pick more or less on their projected stats. Whether it's basketball, hockey, baseball is coming up as well. You can mix and match all these different sports and stat types. You can even take more stat types than one from the same player and put it in the same lineup with their new Stacks feature. And that's what I love the most about Prize Picks, their features, like early payouts. So if your lineup gets off to a hot start, you can cash out those winnings before the games even finish. They also have injury reboots as well. So if your player gets hurt in the first half, no worries. I'll just take that square out of your lineup and you'll be good to go the rest of the way. They offer features that nobody else who's doing sports picks offers. So download Prize Picks today. Super aesthetically pleasing and easy to use. Takes less than 60 seconds to create a lineup. And take it all from me, I've legit been a customer of Prize Picks longer than they've even been a sponsor here at Chat Sports. So download the PrizePicks app today and use the code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Nate Williams, a.k.a. Jonathan Williams. He may be an absolute steal for this Golden State Warriors team. Remember, signed to a 2-way contract here after Pat Spencer got the elevation up to the standard contract and on the main roster now. So they brought in a 3-and-D wing in Nate Williams, who honestly had a really, really good outing against the Clippers on Monday. They ended up losing that game, but he was really good. He guarded up Kawhi. Like he's long, versatile. He's 6'5", 205. Like he's not exactly the biggest, but he can guard multiple spots. He can guard 1s, 2s, 3s, and even some small ball 4s. And the journey that this guy has taken over the last week or so has been remarkable, man. He recently became a father. I couldn't pinpoint exactly when that was, but this weekend was an absolute trip for Nate Williams, man. And a grind. 36 minutes in the G League on Friday. Then ships up the coast to play against the Lakers on Saturday. 15 minutes there. Then played 10 minutes to score 10 points in the G League again on Sunday. And then just 18 hours after that, he pours in 22 minutes against the Clippers, guards Kawhi Leonard, and he puts up 18 points as well. The guy was really efficient. Didn't try to do too much. The Warriors obviously didn't end up winning this game, so these weren't all exactly the most impactful minutes because they ended up losing it, and the Clippers kind of ran away with the lead at the end of that game. But 18 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, incredibly efficient and selective from the field, 5 of 8 and 3 of 4 from long range. And again, like I mentioned, he had the assignment of guarding Kawhi Leonard for a stretch of possessions, and he had an absolute baller quote to describe it. He said, Kawhi Leonard's a great player, but he bleeds just like I bleed. I don't fear no challenge. He fears one thing, though, and here's more from Nate Williams. I fear God. Shout out to DeAndre Hopkins. That's the only man I fear. And I'm from Rochester, New York, in the back streets. So if you go in my neighborhood, you would know why I'm this way. And I'll tell you guys right now, he is not lying. Rochester is insane. Downtown Rochester is pretty dangerous. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I went to school up there, and I've seen firsthand it gets pretty violent down there. So Nate Williams cut from a different cloth, and he's using that mentality to just bring hunger to his NBA game and further along his career here. I'd be excited to see him get a standard contract elevation towards the towards the postseason if that's something that Golden State could do. But the early games and the early minutes that we've seen from him so far have been pretty promising. Here's what Steve Kerr had to say on Williams. He said, "It's fun watching him. Young player, live body, can make a shot, and Nate's a very impressive player." So, got compliments from the head coach, whether or not you value comments made by the head coach, because if you think back to 5 minutes ago when we were talking about Kristaps Porzingis, I wasn't too fond of Steve Kerr's comments. But I'll tell you what, Nate Williams, interesting piece, 3-and-D. If he can continue to knock down that shot at a high clip, I think he's going to have a spot in this league for a long time. And Golden State does this pretty often, right? Guy Santos, I know they drafted him, but like developing Guy Santos, developing Quentin Post a little bit, developing Pat Spencer. Like these end-of-bench guys end up really blossoming in this Golden State system. So Nate Williams, I hope he is no different than those cats. What do you guys think? Is Nate Williams a long-term piece for Golden State? Yes or no? Simple question, simple answer. Let me know your thoughts if you want to bring Nate Williams back for the foreseeable future here in Golden State after you saw what you saw on Monday against the Clippers. That will do it for today's show, I believe, unless we have one more thing to go, and I didn't even check it. Oh, we are at this point. Yeah, this is one more thing I want to get to because it does relate to Nate Williams. We are at the point in the season where Nate Williams stuff is getting me hyped. That's how you know the season's lost. It's unfortunate, but like this Steph injury stuff that's going on right now where he's not being really pressured to come back whatsoever. Like they're limping to the playoffs or play in because that's really what they're going to be in if Steph doesn't come back before April. And it's just like unfortunate, man. We had such high hopes for this year after a really promising second half of the season last year and into the postseason. You won a series against the 2 seed. You go out there and win game 1 against the Timberwolves. Curry gets hurt, and then you can't really do much after that. But there were such high hopes for this season, adding Al Horford, D'Anthony Melton into the mix. Some of that has worked a little bit, but it hasn't been what Golden State's been looking for. Draymond has fallen off a cliff, and Jimmy Butler's knee exploded. So now we're at the point where we are at now, and Nate Williams is the reason I'm getting fired up about the Golden State Warriors. All respect to Nate Williams, that's embarrassing. That will do it for today's show. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel, youtube.com/WarriorsTV. The latest and greatest on your Dubs all season long. We'll see you guys next time. And as always, let's go Dubs.